Yeah, the Milwaukee Brewers are struggling. There's no doubt about it. Didn't expect a 2-4 homestand, but I think this upcoming road trip is going to tell us what direction the Brewers are headed. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Yeah. Disappointing loss on Sunday for the Milwaukee Brewers. That was probably the worst game I've seen all year long. I mean, if you think about it, the Brewers have been in like every game they've played in. A lot of one-run games didn't always go their way. But that was such a dud on Sunday in front of a full house on Jackson Chourio bobblehead day. That was bad. And I think some of you think that this is going in the wrong direction. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. Chuck Freeman, longtime host of Locked On Brewers for the last 2 years, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin. Great and proud host of Locked On Brewers. Great being with you here Monday through Friday. We dropped the episode late Sunday night, and we're here every day, Monday through Friday, dropping episodes early morning hours. But yeah, 3 hits, going 0 for 21 to finish off that game, and a 2-4 homestand doesn't make me feel real good about the team right now. When I have felt good about this team most of the season. I have felt good most of the season, even when they went through a little bit of a slide. I'm telling you what, I'm teetering a little bit because it just, I don't like, there's a couple of things I don't like what I'm seeing right now. Yeah, they're going through a little bit of a swoon. And I think what's getting to them is the heart of the order. Gary Sanchez, God, we love Gary Sanchez. I love Gary Sanchez, but I don't want Gary Sanchez batting 4th or 3rd in my lineup. I get mad about that. I look and I see Rhys Hoskins. Well, can you put Rhys Hoskins there? Well, he's hitting 207. All right. I mean, for those of you who remember Gorman Thomas, that's Gorman Thomas numbers right there. Gorman hit better than that. But at least Gorman would hit you 40 home runs. So I've been getting mad about Sanchez hitting 3rd or 4th. But if you look at it, Pat Murphy didn't have a heck of a lot of options for that 3rd or 4th spot. He doesn't. This is why I wanted them to go out and get themselves a bat at the All-Star break and at the trading deadline. Get a bat in here, another bat. And they didn't do it. And I don't know. I think they're going to pick themselves off the map. They got San Francisco and Arizona. These are not going to be easy outs at all. The Giants, they're not contending. Arizona definitely is. They're in a fight with the Padres and the Mets and the Braves for those 3 wild card spots. And Arizona's a good team. And we saw what happened last year when Arizona knocked the Brewers out of the postseason. But that was surprising on Sunday. And I tell you, because I thought after the Brewers showed a little life on Saturday, because all week they had not looked good offensively. Lost a couple of extra inning games because they couldn't get big hits in extra innings. And then they get the Friday's game and it's 1-0, going into the middle innings. One of those games that we've been down that road before with these guys. And then Frankie Montas gives up a 3-run home run. And then the Brewers would have lost that game anyway, I think. Lost 3-2. They played a run and Brewer Hicken gets thrown out at third base to end the game on a fly ball, which I still don't get it. I still don't. I don't understand it. I don't care who's playing the outfield. I don't care how good of an arm or how bad of an arm the guy has. You can't be tagging up and going to third in that situation. And I was stunned that the game ended that way. Stunned that a major leaguer. And I don't want to come too much down on Brewer Hicklin because the guy was in the game as a pinch runner, and he's 28 years old. He ain't got too many chances left. I felt bad for the kid. But I don't know. I don't know what that was all about. Not saying they would have won the game anyway, but that was deflating right there. But credit the Brewers coming back on Saturday night. They hit those 2 first-inning home runs. And you're thinking, okay, Adames goes yard for a 30th time. opposite field there, Sanchez does homer. Okay. And then William Contreras homers later in the game. You're thinking, okay, the 5-2, you'll take it. You want it more, but 5-2, thinking, okay, we'll see what's going to bring Sunday's going to bring. And Sunday, they were just dead. That was as lifeless as they've been all year long. I mean, nothing even smoked to the outfield. Crowd was just dead as well. They were waiting for something to pounce on, but the crowd was lifeless because the team was lifeless. And it was a bad day to be at AmFam Field. On a celebration for Jackson Chourio bobblehead day. Fans came out. You got to give a bobblehead to everybody who comes through the gate, not the first 30,000. You got to find a way to kick it up and get an extra 12,000 bobbleheads there. 30,000, the first 30,000 get bobbleheads. I've never liked that idea. Oh, the first 10,000, no, give everybody a shot at that. They're coming out to the ballpark on bobblehead day. I remember back in the days at helmet day, they weren't saying the first 25,000. Raincoat day, they weren't saying the first 25. That day, when they gave those red Brewer bats, they weren't saying the first 20,000 as you exited the ballpark that night when they gave you the bat. So I think everybody, at 12,000 more bobbleheads, give everybody a bobblehead. Imagine being in line and you're 30,001. Oh, we're out. I'd like to hear from anybody out there, of the thousands of people who download this podcast. You ever been to bobblehead day when you got to the gate and they ran out a couple of guys in front of you? What do they say? It's a hard conversation for those poor people who are giving out the bobbleheads, who are working at the ballpark. Say, well, I'm sorry, we only had so many of these to give out. It's 12,000 bobbleheads. You make 30,000, you can make 12,000 more. I didn't expect to go on a tangent there, but I'm just ticked off. I'm just taking my frustrations out because the Brewers went on a 2-4 homestand here. And yeah, I'm teetering a little bit right now. Now, I still think things are going to be okay. And I know some of you guys, I put a tweet out there, some of the comments that you think that, how feeble the Brewers looked, that you're worried that we're going to see more of the same. A couple of you guys out there, DeGragian says, Murphy has to do a better job of managing than he did. He knows Milner has been bad all year, and he let him come in to blow another game. Let Freddie lose his own game. Milner is here with his 5 ERA. Hudson in Nashville with his 1.7 ERA. I don't think Milner is going to make the postseason roster unless there's injuries. That's my gut feeling. And yeah, Milner coming in that game, Freddie was not happy about getting pulled in that game. In the locker room after the game, he was not happy that he was not able to work out of that. He was out of there like in 87 pitches. Murphy gave him the hook, went with the lefty, and Milner gives up a 3-run blast. Game, set, and match right there. His last 2 2/3 innings, Milner, he has given up 6 runs. It's been problematic all year long. Milner has not been the Hobie Milner that we all have grown to love. He's not been that guy. Ashby's got to take his innings. Ashby's been great, but Milner, not so much. And the Brewers lose, and that 0 for 21. Colorado, bad baseball team, but as we always say, it's not a shame losing to these guys. Unlike, if you're a 15-point underdog in the NFL or college football, let's say, you're 20-point underdog like Oregon was on Saturday night, and if they would have lost the game, yeah, that's a shame. But the Brewers were like a plus 250 favorite in this game. I want to say 285 favorite, -2. That's why those lines are so low. If it was that easy, if Vegas thought that the underdog had no shot at some of these games, the line would be -500. And some of these White Sox games, like the Orioles this week, I think were -400 in a couple of those games. Some of those games against the White Sox, who are arguably the worst team in baseball. But you look at the line and you see the Brewers only a 285 favorite. Well, I mean, that's not bad. That's like being a 5 or 6 point favorite and losing in an NFL game. So, we can complain, we lost to the lousy Rockies, but I look at it like this. It wasn't like the Rockies beat the Brewers. The Brewers beat themselves because they couldn't hit. I mean, that was a pathetic performance on Sunday. Just bad. Bad news all the way around. Freddie wasn't great. First bad start for him in a while. I would have liked to see him work out of it, and who knows how that would have happened. But still, even if Freddie works out of it, that's not – I mean, and Miller gives up the home run. But you went 0 for 21. If you go to extra innings, you're probably running that up to 0 for 35? So, yeah, I mean, I could say, Miller shouldn't be in that spot, and he shouldn't. But this was the game that the Brewers were destined to lose anyway because they couldn't get anything started offensively. So, can't. It was a bad move going to Milner, but the Brewers' offense is the blame for this one. Williams says we were overdue for a lousy week. They have not been this team all season. However, yes to this when I said that the offense looked feeble. Yeah. There's a couple of times this year in July. They didn't have a great July, Brewers. Not a real good. They lost 2-3 to Washington a couple of times in July. Was not a great July by any means. But September here, we're trying to chase down a couple of teams. We're trying to chase down Philadelphia and the Dodgers. And by the way, on that note, the Brewers are still right there. I haven't punted that situation at all. I know some of you guys have. Was on the golf course on Saturday morning, freezing before the Brewer game. And people were asking, God, if after the Friday night loss, that 1 or 2 seed is done. Not really. And as I look at it as of Monday morning here, Milwaukee's got 61 losses, Philadelphia's got 58, and Los Angeles, the Dodgers got 57. You always look in the loss column because if you look at the win column or you do the half games, you look at the loss column and how many games out in the loss column because you look at the Brewers could be plus or minus how many games they have to make up or not make up to these other teams as far as scheduling. Philadelphia might have played 2 more games than the Brewers, Los Angeles, or it might have been vice versa. So you just look at you always look at the loss column. So Milwaukee, 61 losses, Philadelphia, 58, Dodgers, 57. Brewers got a 3-game set with Philadelphia next week. Okay. So I would say hopefully in the next week or so, maybe a gain of ground or 2. 2 and 4, don't punt this catching those 2 top seeds. Not at all. Now, that's why this road trip is so big for the Brewers. So big before they come home. We'll get to that coming up next. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. You get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. We are there. And, of course, watch us on YouTube. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell that alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. So we're coming right back after this. eBay Motors, man, I told you this guy down the street from me, he is a guy who fixes up his car. He's not much into sports at all. You try talking sports with the guy and, he wants to make conversation, be a friendly neighbor and all that. But, I understand him. He understands me. He's in the cars. I'm in the sports. But he is into eBay Motors. He talks about it all the time because he's fixing up 2 or 3 cars there. And he says, passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships, keeping your ride or die alive. I know he does it with his eBay Motors. They have everything to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and a whole lot more. I'm telling you, my buddy could go on and all the parts he's bought from eBay Motors. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You always find exactly what you're looking for. With Guaranteed Fit, with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need, the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP of your neighborhood. Just like the guy down the street. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, F-R-E-I-M-U-N-D. Appreciate all you great Brewers fans running to at games, and got a little road trip coming up here. 3 in San Francisco, 3 night games. Start around 8:30 Central Time. Usually it's a Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and then an afternoon game on Thursday. All night games in San Francisco. Then they head to Phoenix and take on Arizona in 3 games. San Francisco 71-73. Arizona playing well, 80-64. If the playoffs were to start today, they'd be in. San Diego, the Mets, Atlanta, and them all fighting for a playoff spot. All fighting for a playoff spot. It's a wild race. Brewers don't want to see any of these 4 teams. I think if I was going to see somebody, I'd want to see the Mets. Funny, the Brewers finish off the season at home. They opened the season at New York, and they finished the season against the Mets. Yeah, I think I got that right. They finished the season against the Mets. So they finished the season against the Mets, and they could play them like a couple of days later. Isn't that weird how that works? I'm just going to double check real quick. Yeah, they finished the season with the Mets. 3 home games with the Mets. That is odd, because the Brewers could finish these games with the Mets, the 27th and 28th, 29th, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then have to play the Mets like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at AmFam Field. So the Mets could be here for like a 6-game homestand for the Brewers. Odd. Brewers played them to start the season in New York in March. Don't see them again to the end of September, and could see them in the postseason. Mets had their 9-game winning streak ended on Sunday, but they're playing very good. But I'm telling you, of these teams, San Diego, the Mets, and Atlanta, and Arizona, I don't want to face any of them, but if I had my choice, I'd want to face the Mets. They had their 9-game winning streak. I don't think they're all that good, though. But San Diego, Atlanta, and Arizona, they are good. They are good. That'd be tough matchup. I was reading on MLB.com. They were mentioning the 5 or 6 best postseason matchups that they're looking forward to, ideal matchups. And the Brewers did get a mention. You know, you got to mention the 3rd best team in baseball once in a while. And they mentioned that one of the potential matchups they'd like to see in the postseason is Milwaukee and Arizona. I don't want to see Arizona again. I'll be honest. I don't want to see them again. We owe them a little payback, but this is not the time to give them payback in the postseason. Isaac Collins got his first hit. Great for the kid. I just wonder why we're playing some of these guys who are getting called up from AAA. Nothing against Brewer Hicklin. And if you're going to pinch run, I guess he pinch run, but he didn't do his job. He didn't make any appearance the Saturday or Sunday, as I recall. I don't think he got into the game Saturday and Sunday. But Isaac Collins got in the game, got a base hit. But we're not finishing up the season trying to be a spoiler, trying to win pennants. Saw he played left field, and just didn't make a lot of sense to me why some of these guys are playing. Let's go with our frontline guys. We're trying to catch these teams, especially when we're slumping. Especially when we are slumping. Isaac Collins, though, congratulations on getting that first hit. A huge crowd at the ballpark. Jackson Chourio. I gave my tickets to go for the game today. And a buddy of mine said, yep, hey, Jackson, I forgot it was Jackson Chourio bobblehead day. He said, yeah, I'm going. I am going. Back to the Hicklin thing. While we're on the subject of young guys playing, I will say, yeah, he tagged up from third or tagged from second and got thrown out at third to end the game Friday night. And we were all stunned. And at least he owned it in the locker room, trying to make a play. He owned it. Didn't do anybody any good. It wasn't going to take the loss off the board, but he admitted he cost his team a game. And I was good with that. And he was a stand-up guy. And he talked with the media after the game. I'll hand that to him. Guy makes a crushing mistake like that with their team trying to catch one of these other teams for a top 2 seed. You know, you're young. I mean, a young guy. I mean, you got to feel for the guy. Young guy, 28 years old. You don't know how many more shots you got at this. And you come up and you make a mistake like that while your teammates have been working for this moment all season long. I did feel bad for the guy. But let's not put a guy like that in that position. But he's got speed. He stole 40 bases. He stole 40 bases down in the minor leagues this year. But you can't make that third out at third base. You know, the Brewers this weekend did end that streak. I should say they extended that streak of not having lost more than 3 in a row with winning on Saturday night. But that's incredible. Having not lost more than 3 in a row all season long. Okay, we come back. We'll talk about the week ahead with the Milwaukee Brewers. That's coming up next. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book for a reason. I know some of you, a lot of you guys out there got into FanDuel this weekend with the opening of the NFL and college football going on. I love me the live lines. Love me the live lines. Detroit on a live line. At one point, you could have got them at the Lions at plus 350 on Sunday night when the Rams got the ball. You knew the Rams were going to find a way to win that game. But I digress. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Speaking of the NFL, all FanDuel customers right now through September 22nd can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of the NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. YouTube TV, the base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday game, out-of-market game. All you got to have is a Google account. Easy to make, and a current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. And if that's not enough, FanDuel's got something special. Check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app. Use it in FanDuel to double your winnings. FanDuel.com. Go to FanDuel.com. Their odds are right there. But again, if you go ahead and bet $5 sometime any day between now and September 22nd, you're going to get that 3 weeks free trial of Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And after that, you decide whether you want to hang on or not. But I'm telling you what, you will. YouTube TV, Sunday Ticket, man, that is the way to go. I love me the Sunday Ticket. Chuck Fraven here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers with San Francisco and Arizona coming up this weekend. And the Brewers, this is a big week for them. This is a big week for them because, you know, they've lost two of their last 6. Or they've lost 4 of their last 6. They won 2 of their last 6. They had a 2-4 homestand, okay, against 2 teams that aren't very good. St. Louis Cardinals aren't a very good team. The Rockies are worst, okay? And it's not going to get easier facing San Francisco and Arizona. The Giants haven't quit. They won a couple of games. They won Saturday and Sunday this weekend. And Arizona is going to be a tough out. And we don't want to face them in the postseason. But I think we're going to get a good pulse at the end of this week. By the time Sunday rolls around, the Brewers, I think, because they got Philadelphia next Monday. The Brewers have to get within 1 or 2 games of Philadelphia going into next Monday's game. They can't fall behind any further. They're 3 games behind Philly, 4 behind LA. Okay. But chasing down Philly, since you have games left with them, that's what I'm focusing on right now. So between Tuesday and Sunday, you got to somehow get that 3-game deficit down to 2 or 1. And that means going out to this West Coast here to San Francisco and Arizona. You got to win 4 of the 6 games. You got to go 4-2 on this road trip. Any way you slice it, whether you sweep in San Francisco and you take 1 in Arizona or whatever, but you got to go 4-2 on this road trip. You got to go on 4-2 to give yourself a shot at that top 2 seed. You had some chances this weekend and on this homestand, but you failed on this homestand. You've been playing great, but you want to play the big boys and you want to get a top 2 seed. you got to go out and you got to go 4-2 on this West Coast swing. Got to. Absolute must. And if you don't, those games against Philadelphia, it might be again, they're going to clinch the division, and maybe they do so next week. But imperative, if you want to get one of those top 2 seeds, you got to have a winning road trip coming up. Absolutely. It's going to do it for Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. My name is Chuck Freeman. Get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. We are there. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. See behind me, I got if you're watching me on YouTube, another reason to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You got the background here. I got programs from all the postseasons that the Brewers have been on. I could even tilt the camera up a little bit, and you can see some programs up there in yearbooks from way, way back. Got the World Series program, 82, American League, and a copy of the Journal Sentinel after they won Game 5 and clinched the American League Championship Series in Milwaukee in 82. I want to add to that. I want to add some programs, my credentials up there. I want to add to that. I want to make a deep run. But that team I saw on Sunday, and this team that I saw on this homestand was not a championship level team. We've been watching a lot of championship level team. They've been playing so great until Tuesday. They played well. They won on Monday on Labor Day against St. Louis, but since then it's been downhill. They have not been playing championship level baseball, getting clutch hits, none of that, losing those extra inning games. Got to bounce back and have a 4-2 road trip, 4-2 road trip on this 6-game West Coast swing. And it starts on Tuesday night against San Francisco. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. We will see you all coming up on late Monday night